Over 2 months now in office, President Biden is getting some high remarks from voters. Our new ABC News Ipsos poll finds 72% approve of his handling of the pandemic, 60% approve of his handling of the economy. But there are warning signs for his agenda as majorities of Americans disapprove of his job on immigration and gun violence. So tonight we return to the state that saved Joe Biden's primary campaign in 2020, South Carolina, to hear directly from voters there about where the president is meeting expectations and where he may be missing the mark. Here's ABC's Devin Dwyer.
We began in the heart of South Carolina, the capital, Columbia. Democratic voters here were critical to saving Joe Biden's primary campaign. Now they're looking to him to deliver.
We need to act, not tomorrow, not a year from now, but today.
Lawrence Nathaniel is founder of the group Black Lives Matter South Carolina. Last year, he led protests demanding racial justice after the death of George Floyd.
When I seen something wrong, I wanted to make it right, so I wanted to go out there and focus on how just to make it right.
Nathaniel, who supported businessman Tom Steyer in the primary, says he's happy with President Biden, but wants to see more help for low-income neighborhoods like this one, where Black Lives Matter is renovating a church into a community center.
What are you trying to do?
Build change and bring hope for people in this community and show that Black Lives Matter is more than just about a protest.
If you had 5 minutes with President Biden today, what would you tell him?
There are people out here that's still hurting and that needs help and that needs to make sure that they could trust you as our president of the United States.
Across town in Columbia's northern suburbs, trust in Biden's handling of the pandemic is growing.
He came in with a plan, and he's letting the medical community, more or less Dr. Fauci, be the mouthpiece instead of him getting up in front of everybody trying to convince them what's real and what's not. So,
retired Army Major Christopher Berry, a lifelong Republican, and Mary Beth Berry, a university professor and lifelong Democrat, both voted for Joe Biden.
Do you feel like he's done enough to reach out to Republicans?
But I can definitely say that he's not pushed them away like President Trump did.
Mary Beth says she's looking to Biden for passion for solving problems, an issue she confronted the candidate about during the primary.
What is your fire? Because you see Bernie, you see Elizabeth Warren, you see that fire. That's what I'm looking for.
So has he shown enough fire in the first 100 days?
You know, there's always still a little politician stuff that, you know, you sort of wish wouldn't happen. But overall, I think that he seems to be honest. And, I mean, he's getting things done.
A majority of Americans approve of President Biden's job performance so far, but many of his top priorities face stiff Republican opposition.
I think he can deliver quite a bit.
Democrats like 77-year-old retired Minister Nina Gray are hoping Biden puts up a fight for progressive policies, like ending the ban on federal funding of abortions.
Of course, his Catholic faith is against that, but I have also seen him evolve.
Do you think he'll actually be able to get it done?
I hope so. You have to help them by expressing your point of view. I think everybody needs to do that, and we all need to find our citizenship voice and engage.
We traveled east along I-26 to the city of Orangeburg, where tradition has it the road to the White House for Democrats cuts through.
You initially backed Bill de Blasio for president. Have you been happy with what you've seen from Joe Biden so far?
I have been very happy. He's presidential. He has given us someone to look up to and say, this is our leader, he and his family.
Mayor Michael Butler, the first black mayor in Orangeburg history, calls Biden a savior.
We needed somebody to take us through the Red Sea. And we understood that he would be the one that take us across.
Is there anything that's disappointed you so far? Anything you might kind of give him a little nudge? I
would just give him a little nudge about the borders. That, just be mindful of the rules at the border.
But in the shadow of the city's monument to Confederate war dead,
John C. Calhoun,
Butler praised Biden for his decency.
I would just tell him, President Biden, continue to do what you're doing, build on principles and things that we've stood for, and make America become greater.
As we neared the Carolina coast, we stopped in the city of North Charleston, where we met Kwati Woodbury Gadsden at a local school stockpiling food, clothing, and hygiene products for children and families.
Now that the pandemic has hit and is in full swing, it has really highlighted the necessity as far as what kids are missing and lacking on. And then their parents do the best they can, but of course they have to work and provide for them.
If they have a job.
Exactly.
You're processing unemployment claims.
Yes, every day, hundreds of claims a week.
Those must be gut-wrenching.
It's painful. It's painful.
We first met Kwati and her mom Felicia at a forum for Democratic candidates last year.
I'll be voting for Bernie Sanders.
When both expressed reservations about Joe Biden.
I'm okay with what he's putting in place. Bernie was the person that I felt like had a plan to hit the road. And I feel like with Joe Biden, what's happened more so is everybody's so concerned with what's happening with COVID and what needs to happen with COVID that everything else is pushed back.
Kwati is spending her final weeks in college interning with the nonprofit Charleston Promise Neighborhood and says she hopes Biden doesn't take her community's support for granted.
If you had 2 minutes with the president today, what would you tell him?
I would tell him that if there was some kind of way that he could make it to South Carolina to actually see the disparities and the poverty rate and everything that's a need and a necessary, I feel like it would be monumental to my community and to the people who I'm advocating for.
So come back.
Yes.
As we pulled into historic downtown Charleston, we passed Mother Emanuel AME Church, where in 2015 a white supremacist shot and killed 9 people at a Bible study. Days before our visit, the U.S. House passed a bill to close the so-called Charleston background check loophole.
When they were checking Dylan Roof's record, they had just a lot more days than my wife would have still been here.
Reverend Anthony Thompson's wife, Myra, was murdered by Roof, who was able to obtain a gun after a delay in his background check. Reverend Thompson and his son, Anthony Thompson Jr., have been pleading with Republicans to join with President Biden to strengthen the law.
One day, it could be your family. It could be your child. It could be your wife. It could be your best friend. You know, you just don't know how I feel until it happens to you, so why wait for it to happen to you, or anybody close to you, before you decide you're going to do something about it?
The Thompsons say they have deep faith in Biden to bridge political divides, both deeply moved by his compassion after the Charleston massacre and commitment to keeping his word.
When we talk about criminal justice reform, you know, I think these are areas that are important to particularly the African-American community, the black community, because we have been impacted by these things. And so for him coming out already addressing those issues, I think that's very important, and that just speaks to his leadership.
Faith that is not accompanied by action is dead. And Biden, faith is certainly not dead.
You asked President Biden about that.
Yeah, I did, you know. My question is, what is your faith, and how would you use your faith in making decisions for our nation?
Have you seen faith from him so far?
He just passed the $1.9 trillion stimulus bill into law, and that's going to do what? That's faith, because he's answering and providing the needs of the people. Yeah.
Behind Reverend Thompson's church, a place of reflection, a memorial garden constructed by the community in memory of Myra. It's here, Thompson says, he reflects on divisions in America and the need for forgiveness.
People are trying to find a way to get peace from their burdens, and they just don't know how to do it, what to do it. They think anger is going to be the thing to do it, revenge is going to be the thing to do it, but it never happens. It just get worse. You know, we as people, as a nation, you know, have to get past all the things that happened in the past, you know, like slavery, you know, like racism, discrimination, segregation.
A prayer that forgiveness and healing will begin in our families and take hold in our politics. For ABC News, I'm Devin Dwyer on the road in South Carolina.
Our thanks to Devin for that.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.